Hello, beloved one. It's that time of the week, a lovely Wednesday. Welcome to the Awakening Confidence Talk Show. And today we're just going to talk about anger, the fire, the passion, the love. As a topic, it is anger is that fire of passion and love that calls you to embrace your magic. If it's the first time watching this, 𝐜𝐚𝐥𝐿 is my name. I am an authentic self embodiment soul liberator and a quantum witch doctor, helping singles to awaken their confidence and find love. So welcome. Yes, the topic today is about anger. And I want to know, when you feel the anger, how do you feel? If at all you are someone who probably anger was your base emotion, it was kind of like where you go to every time something happens. How did you feel about you feeling that emotion of anger? How did the people around you perceive you? Or how often did they remind you of that anger? And if you are the one who was on the receiving end of an angry person, what is it? How did you feel about that? Like seeing someone being angry and all that. And were you even in a position to sort of bring it out, to just sort of ask a question about how they're feeling so that you can feel safe to be able to have a conversation? Because as much as we have that bad perception about anger, it's one emotion that is often judged, and I would say the negative connotation about it, it's only if you are ashamed of it. Because if you're ashamed of that aspect of yours, like I asked you, if you imagine yourself being there for someone, protecting them, wanting to make sure that they feel safe, and then one day they tell you that you're not worthy of my time. I have found something better. You don't deserve to be here. I don't have time for you because now I found something better. How would you feel? If at all you felt rejection, abandonment at some point in time, you'd know that it hurts as fuck. It sucks. And probably as I'm speaking about it, there is a certain name that is coming through your memory, where you kind of like feeling that I cannot believe that's how they treated me after I did whatever that you did, or just being loyal and providing, creating that space where that person can blossom and be whatever that they wanted to be. If you gave them that space, you might be feeling those emotions. And now imagine this is an aspect of yours that has been with you since the beginning of time. It has been your protector. It has been your defender. It has been holding space for you. It has been that aspect that shows up to check. Is it okay for you to show up? Is it okay for you to speak? And it's operating at the consciousness that it might not be that evolved, because it's a part of you that you created from when you were young. And then you find a lovely partner and you're like, I don't want to hear from you. You don't get to say a word. I want you to just sit in a corner, or maybe even go and close that part of yours somewhere in the dark, and you just say, you don't come out. I don't want to hear from you anymore because you'll mess up my relationship. I don't want, at times, like I said, it's even the relationship with God. Like when you choose to be evolved and more spiritual, and it's kind of like, I don't want to feel you. I don't want to feel this emotion. I have no space for you because now I'm just evolved. And the only word that we speak is namaste. It's just like light and love. You just want to, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If it's where you at and it's natural, is the integrated version of you, is who you've always been, is how open you feel when you are there. But if at all you are someone who is not that, and you have this idea of how to be in a relationship, because one of the, just speaking of that, one of the there is four things that I feel they come through a lot to stop people from embodying who they authentically are. And one of those is the comparison, which is what often leads us to let go of who we are, and we want to be like somebody else because maybe that particular person is evolved or whatever, enlightened, all these words that we throw around, or that person is married, or that person is a mother, and it's kind of like, oh, I want to be like that person. Either you hear people talking about her, or it's kind of like just a part of you who admires the characteristics that one has. But then by admiring who somebody is, you kind of like attach that to a version of you when you are that, which eventually leads you to abandoning who you are just to perceive yourself as somebody evolved or somebody who is worthy of a loving relationship or whatever that is. Comparison is one of the things that really steals that light, that joy, that uniqueness from a lot of people, because they have an idea. It's something that is in the mind. It's not who you be, which there is definitely a difference. If who you be is just in the mind, it's not who you are, there's going to be kind of like you expand a little bit and then you contract again because you haven't grasped how to be that, because you cannot. And on the other hand, it's even denying people an opportunity of celebrating you because you are busy imitating something or somebody that you are not. So I want you to just sit with that. And another one, I'm just gonna speak about this two, but the ones that I normally talk about is the four things that stops people from being themselves. And the other one is attachment to role, status, and all that. Like I said, you can be maybe attached to a role of a mother. Who is a mother? Then you abandon who you are. You abandon your inner child. You abandon your playfulness. You abandon your sensuality, because you have this idea of what a mother is, or even a spiritual, evolved, enlightenment person. You have an idea of who that is, and you just around with that, you are attached to that instead of being yourself. And that's when you run with an idea of what is perceived nice, what is perceived evolved, what is perceived a mother, what is perceived being in a relationship, and you abandon yourself to be able to sustain those things, then it's hard for you to sustain that, definitely, because you are not being yourself. And that's when these aspects that have been with you since you were conceived, that have been your protector, they are doing that job at the level that the best that they knew, with at the level of consciousness that they have. And if you embrace and acknowledge these aspects, you get to evolve together. It's not for you to say, now I have found something better, I'm in a relationship, and you, inner child, I don't want you here because you don't deserve to be here. You're going to mess this up as much as it messed previous relationship. Then the inner child shows up to say, if you're going to abandon me because of your spirituality, because of your whole enlightenment stories, because of this living relationship that you think you're on, I've got a story for you. It's not going to work, because your inner child is going to show up to sabotage that until you pay attention to that inner child. So at times, that anger that comes through, that you want to push away, that you want to suppress, that you want to deny, is just coming through to say, I am here. I am your passion. I am the love. I know the vision, because the inner child also knows the vision. I know the soulmate that we get to be with and evolve and go with will embrace us and will grow together. The soulmate who deserves us is going to want what's best for us as we want what's best for him or her. You understand? So it's not for you to abandon yourself for you to sustain a relationship. It's kind of like, let's be together, let's grow together, let's expand together, you know. So when you shut this out, numb this out, you end up numbing this power that you have within. And that's how I felt, because I didn't want to feel the honestly, it happened without even being conscious of what was happening. What I know is that I felt this love that was coming through, and I was just like, wow, it's amazing, because here I am going through a breakup and I'm feeling this love that was just happening, and I was just excited with it. I danced with it. That was my soul that was bringing that amazing, powerful love through. And a lot of things were happening where I felt heard, but surprisingly enough, I did not feel it. And there's a twist in here because I did not feel the emotions of hurt, anger, or whatever. And I was just like wondering what is going on? You know, what is going on? I went with that. I felt like my energy was slowly vanishing. I didn't feel alive. I felt like I was just really going through the depression that I didn't even understand myself. And despite all that was happening, I just knew that somehow with all this that is happening, there is a part of me that is angry, but I could not feel it in my body. And I realized later that somehow all the events that were happening, I checked out. Like it's kind of like it was a shock to my system. And I checked out. And with that checking out, that's quite interesting. With that checking out, I realized, I'm realizing something here with my life that is not showing up in other places that I intended for it to show. This is why I'm like, that's quite interesting. But I'll do whatever that can be done in this meantime. And those who are going to watch this little part, they'll watch this little part. It's what it is. So when I realized that this aspect of mine when I realized that I'm just feeling numb and slowly I don't have the energy to do anything and I don't feel anything, I just knew something was not right. And after some time, really, of going through these emotions that I did not understand that were me, something happened that sort of like went back to a relationship that I had prior. So there is something, it's kind of like when I went back there to that relationship, that's when I felt some emotions coming through. So now you realize this is the twist that I'm talking about, that at times when we don't process something from one relationship, we don't get to feel the pain or whatever that is, whatever emotion that is meant to come up when you're going through pain, because we have somehow numbed ourselves, even with this I'm a strong kind of person, or I'm this living aspect and all that. So we just move with this idea in the mind. It's not who we are. So where in your life are you denying these aspects because you're ashamed of it, because you have an idea of how a calm, collected, lovable person has to be? Because it's also an illusion. If you want to be loved, because there's a difference. If you want to be loved at an expense of you loving yourself, because if you are there, you're gonna suppress your emotions. You're not gonna be able to share your opinions, let alone even draw boundaries. Because there is something also that happened. I was having a conversation with someone, and I could feel that this person was really getting triggered. And I just observed and I asked this person that, why is it that you're getting triggered? Because it's something that I want to share with you here. But I don't feel comfortable because of the anger emotion that I see coming through. And this person said, don't you dare talk about my emotions, because I have boundaries. And I was like, wow, okay. Then how are we going to have a conversation if I cannot even ask of what I'm observing? Because I want clarity. Is it okay for me to openly share my opinion, or should we end this conversation because I also have my own boundaries? You know, so when you understand and embrace your emotions, you get to show up as you are. You get to embrace and celebrate this aspect of yours that has kept up with you for so long, the aspect of yours that has protected you when you didn't even have those tools, or you didn't even have those people in your life that makes you turn your back on yourself because now you think there is something better. There is, when you are evolved, It's not about being with your inner child. When you are evolved, it's not about expressing your emotions. Now you feel like you have to be this namaste kind of person and all that. Because even when you embrace, acknowledge, integrate this aspect, it's not going to catch you off guard, because you are integrated, and you get to know and understand how to channel those emotions and use them in the way that can serve you. Like I said, it's an energy that calls you to embrace your magic. It's the energy that calls you to say yes to life, because at times, most of the time, not the depression that happens, it's just that denial of the aspects of us that have been traumatized, that are hurting, that we neglect, that we're ashamed of, and we kind of like disconnect, or that even that disconnection from source. Because if your idea of connection to source is just from the mind, then you have excluded you. I want you to hear that. If you are connecting to source that is outside of you, that means you have excluded the amazing, vibrant, magnificent, powerful person that has gone through all those pains, all those challenging times, and has emerged strong. Because if you are here watching this, those challenges were not for nothing. There is a power within you that has awakened. The question is, are you willing to channel that pain? Are you willing to channel that and use it for your highest and greatest good, so that you can live the life that you deserve, so that you can create what you want, so that you can be with someone who embraces and appreciates you, who allows you to share your opinion without making you feel small, who listens to you just to honor your existence, even if they may not agree with what you say. Because you don't have to silence yourself to sustain a relationship. You do not have to tolerate being disrespected to silence, to sustain a relationship, which happens a lot. And it's not even about it's not even about being treated like that in a romantic relationship. It can happen even in a family situation, parent to child, siblings, and all that. You know. So where are you denying your magic, because when you talk about that anger, it's kind of like that life force that runs through your body. Because one thing that I felt when, like I said, the time when I was feeling that numb, um when I allowed myself to feel this, I would call it a bitchy aspect, because the denial of it was coming from it being like that bitchy and whatnot, right? And how other people would perceive it. So I didn't want to express it. I didn't acknowledge it. I didn't embrace it. I felt like I was ashamed of it. But when I embraced it after feeling that depression and all that, I felt fire, like truly coming alive. And for the first time, I felt alive. I just wanted to scream, just to release the energy and just say, I deserve to be here. And I did not go through all that shit, all that pain, all that respect for nothing. And that was the aspect that was coming through to say, we've got some work to do. And it came through with the magician child that I was integrating even in that moment. She came through. Actually, it's a masculine aspect, because I felt that masculine aspect is more like a boy, that warrior. Um, Even though when you talk about the masculine, we're not talking about the boy, but it was like the masculine aspect. And what's interesting when I talk about integrating that masculine aspect, magician child of mine, is what is interesting is that I was at a point where I was experiencing disrespect, and mostly from men. And it was like that was happening to push through and awaken and balance and integrate my feminine and masculine aspect, so that I can be fully balanced. I can show up with that, because the masculine is that part that takes action. If it's not balanced, then you're gonna keep being small. You're gonna come across people who are challenging your power. The question is, are you gonna embrace it so that you can say, I'm not willing to embrace this. Like I said, someone who told me that, don't you dare talk about my emotions, because I've got boundaries. And I was like, I don't think it's wrong for me to ask if you are getting triggered, because I want to know if it's safe for me to express my opinion openly. If it's not safe, then I just have to tell you that this is not the right time for us to continue with this conversation, because I've got my boundaries too. And that's an aspect of yours that is, I don't know what you call it. For me, it's my bitchy aspect. Is that anger that is coming through to say, we are not going to accept this. If at all, it's you've got boundaries. These are my boundaries as well. That is the aspect of yours that is going to come through and awaken that power within, that is going to align you with your soul message, that is going to align you with that particular person that you want to be with, that soulmate that you desire, who is going to see you as you are, who is going to embrace the magic that you are, who is going to hold your hand as and have your best interest at heart. Because it's not everyone who comes into your life who really wishes the best for you. Some people are coming through just for their own self-interest. Sometimes we just get to face the reality, whether we want to admit it or not. Not everyone who comes through is coming through with right intention. And this is where, again, that anger at times comes through, because if it feels that you are disrespected, it's going to show up. Your mind, if you are into the whole thing of, wow, spiritual, enlightened, light and love, and that anger might come through to say that there is no light and love here. At the core, yes, it's light and love, but I don't get to experience it here. I don't get to feel it here. Or at least the intention towards you is not for your highest good. So can you cut ties so that we can move on? There is somebody who deserves our time and energy, who's waiting for us. And that happens when you don't ignore and abandon yourself. When you don't ignore and abandon the aspect of yours that has been a protector all the time, but you get to connect, acknowledge, integrate, and work together. That's when magic happens. Not when you are in the head with an illusion of how it is to be a woman, or even the conditioning, because at times it's not an illusion, it's what we are conditioned to believe. We are conditioned to believe what our power is. And when you talk about even that anger, it's also one of the things that is kind of like, it's not womanly, it's not feminine enough for you to even be angry. So it's kind of like when you are just a feminine and all that, you just get to be taking all the crap all the time. And that masculine aspect, like I mentioned, it might be coming through to say, draw the boundaries here, because this is wasting our time. There is more that we get to do. There is more that we get to be. There is more that we get to bring through. But when you are wasting time with people who are not willing to see your magnificence, then you're going to feel like life is not worth living. You're not going to have the energy to wake up. You're not going to have the energy to follow through with your desires. You're not going to have the energy to be with the one who deserves to be with you and dance with that loving energy. You're not going to have it, because even when you talk about that sexual energy, it's still that fire that comes through where you can just open up, be vulnerable, bring in the fire that awakens everything within you, and share yourself with your beloved. You get to be at that point where you are open enough to bring that fire within. So anger is not all that, oh my God, I feel like it's there is love that is there. But if you've been traumatized, if you've been hurt, if you've been disrespected, and if you are denying it, it will show up to say there is a purpose that I'm playing here. I've been with you for so long. I know what is rightfully for you, and you are not going to turn your back on me. And even your inner child might be saying, if you think being spiritual or being in a relationship is worthy, abandoning me, then we are out of this relationship, because I ain't going to play that game. So where in your life are you abandoning yourself to sustain a relationship? And for how long are you willing to keep up with that? Where in your life are you holding into the pain with an idea and illusion of being strong, and you take it over to another relationship, but you don't want to deal with it because that which you are not willing to embrace, to accept, is not going to be accepted by the other person. So they're going to reject it as well. They're going to deny it as well and get what they want. And you will feel explored at the explored at the end of the day, because some people might be coming through just for your sexual energy. They want to heal whatever that needs to be healed, because you are not willing to use that to heal yourself. How would it feel like for you to feel whole? How would it feel like for you to integrate and embrace all aspects of yourself? How would you show up if you do not go around apologizing, hiding, not feeling safe, knowing that when the situation arises, you're just going to say no without feeling bad about it. And you know that no means no. And you know you deserve to be heard. You deserve to be seen. And you know within you that which you desire, that amazing soulmate that you want, exists. But it's waiting for you to say yes to yourself, waiting for you to align with you being loved by you firstly, loving yourself. How would you show up? What would you say no to? What would you say yes to? Because at times we say no to ourselves and we say yes to things that do not serve us. We deny the emotions, the protection that has always been with us because we want to be loved, because we have an idea of what is we are attaching to an outcome, to a goal. And this is also one of the things, as I spoke about, integrating some aspects of us that we may have denied, or we may have abandoned, or we may have been conditioned to believe that they are bad. At times it's just gifts. This is why at times when something dramatic is happening, when a challenge is coming through and it's kind of like, oh my God, it's stormy, at times it's happening because it's happening for your highest good. And you might look at the stormy, the windy, the whatever that is happening and feel like, I don't know what this is all about. Because at times when something is coming through, it calls us to deal with the shadows, which is that which we, at times, the fear of judgment, the fear of abandonment, the fear of rejection. Because fear of abandonment or rejection as well, it can make you deny your self-interest and stay in a relationship that does not serve you, or even do things that do not serve you, like casual sex, or somebody's just here, but I've got feelings too, I've got emotions, I'm just gonna have this casual sex because I've got my needs too. Is it really what you want? Or you just doing it because you fear that you're not gonna have someone? Another one is the fear of inadequacy, feeling that you are not enough. So what if this is the only person, and this person is saying I'm in a committed relationship, or I'm married, or whatever, and it's kind of like you're feeling not enough is making you settle for something less, or even making up stories. Because one other thing is that at times we get some content, some advice from spirit, from source, universe, whatever you call it, and then we make it whatever that we want it to mean, basing on our fears. At times our fears are the filters that filter the message that is coming through. We don't get to really receive it as it is. I did that, and I was blown away when I realized that, wow, this is not what spirit meant with this relationship that I was in. The whole thing was like, I cannot breathe in this relationship. And I say to myself, I don't have to be angry with him. I just have to learn to love him. Because if I show him my emotions, then it's somehow affecting the relationship. That was me wanting things to work. That was me feeling that I have to abandon myself so that I can make this work. Spirit was saying, you cannot breathe in this relationship. You cannot be yourself. There is a lot that is meant to come here. There is a lot that want to be expressed to you, but you need to get to breathe that life within you so that you can anchor this love that is coming through, so that you can show your magnificence. But my breath, I was giving it to this relationship that was sucking life out of me. For how long are you willing to do that? Because what I'm sharing with you is not just a story, it's what happened to me. And it took me a lot of, I want to be out of this world, feeling like there's no need for me to be alive. And I wouldn't want you to go through that. Where are you denying your magic? If you feel this is talking to you, if you feel you want to embrace your magic, if you feel it's time for you to embrace who you are, if you feel you want to let go of the inner criticism, the comparison, and the attachment to roles of who you need to be, and you feel like time has come for you to embrace your magic, to embrace who you are, if you feel there is something that you know you deserve, a loving relationship, if you feel it's time that you heal that pain because you don't want to move ahead into the next relationship with the carrying that baggage of a relationship, carrying that baggage of a breakup or divorce, and you want to connect to what it has awakened within. Reach out to me and let's have a conversation. I love you and I cannot wait to see you share who you are with us. I cannot wait to see you be in a living relationship, be married like some of my clients have been within a year. You know, it happens. The question is, are you ready to embrace that? With that, I love you and embrace your magic at all times, because that breakup, that divorce didn't break anything within you. It awakened the power, the goddess, the amazing warrior that you are. Much love.